Hi, everyone. Welcome tonight to the second episode of TXL Podcast. We will have a podcast each Thursday here to speak more about soccer in the US and worldwide. Tonight, the main topic is the evolution of youth soccer in the US and how the game is seen from an international perspective as well. Fun fact, when I first arrived in the US, I felt lost a little bit, actually, because I was in New York and the game was very different from what I expected. I realized very quickly that the game here is very different from Europe and Latin America. No better or worse, actually just differently. In the US, the system is much more centered on the recreational aspect, on the entertainment side, while in Europe is more on the competitive side, starting at the early age, actually. So different systems, but then we will see tonight how the youth soccer is evolving in the US. Actually, I feel that family here are a little bit lost. The families feel lost because there are too many local clubs, private training, summer camps. Sometimes soccer is melted with other sports, such as hiking or fishing, for instance. And there is not a long-term guidance or a long-term path. There is no structure for them. So they feel a little bit confused. And honestly, this is the big problem. One of the biggest problems, actually, I feel that there is here in Texas, but also in the whole US. And another thing that I saw here, and I feel that is very different from what we experienced in Europe or working in Latin America, for instance, is that the system is very fragmented. So we have three different spheres completely disconnected between each other, such as the recreational soccer, where we have local clubs, local academies, and all those products, such as we said, summer camps, for instance. Then we have the pro clubs and the college soccer. But those three words are completely disconnected between each other. And this is a big issue when we think about, like, for the player to have a clear goal in his career. Another thing that I saw, which shocked me a lot, is that the training methodology is very different. And this leads to have players that are like average player, good at everything, but not exceptional. I will say that they are a 6 out of 10 on physicality, individual technique, but they are not a 10 out of 10 as something that we need today as skills for the modern soccer. So, and this is with the oncoming opportunities here after the World Cup could be a problem. So besides those aspects, I feel that there is a huge opportunity here, especially because there is a huge investment in soccer, a huge investment into soccer, and also like great facilities, great environment around the stadiums, amazing fan engagement products and programs, a lot of investment coming from private equity funds, for instance. In Italy, 15 out of 20 clubs in the first division are owned by Americans. So the private equity funds are investing in soccer worldwide. And of course, they will stream more and more of the first leagues of Europe here in the US. So also the fan base of European clubs will grow up here a lot. So this is for sure a positive side of the US soccer. We have like a lot of investments coming, and the infrastructure is unbelievable, actually. That's why I created TXL, actually, because I see that outside the pitch, we have a great structure, we have an amazing organization, but inside the pitch, we don't see player developing the right way and with the right mentality sometimes, or like clear goals in their mind, especially starting at the early age. And that's why I believe that it's a mix of three things that we have to implement here from a player development sphere, which lead to success in the long term. So not just training, but also mentorship outside, because the mentality is something very crucial. Resilience, learning how to deal with difficult situations, and at the same time also international exposure. That's why at the end of August we will launch our first pro training exchange outside the US, overseas, in Brazil and in Europe, where a selected, talented group of players will have the opportunity to put in their curriculum these experiences. So something very special, unique, to grab a little bit more about different playing style, different cultures, you know, and to be more versatile also in the field. Actually, today, I really want to answer a couple of questions that I received from the parents, and I will do that each Thursday. Okay, so this week I received 3 questions, and I was very surprised about those questions, because I normally receive other kind of questions, and they are, I think, all related to what we see here in the US, and to the fact that families are a little bit lost from a player development sphere, because they don't have this long-term guidance, actually. And first question I will speak about today is, does my child need to play for a biggest club? Honestly, not necessarily. Actually, what matters the most is playing time, quality of training, a balanced life outside the field as well, because especially at early age, they cannot handle too much pressure on their back, and create this creativity and confidence as well. Actually, helps player to develop in the best way. So I don't think that the logo is the key for success. Moreover, question number 2 I got today is, what is the biggest mistake parents make? This is such a good question. I think that here in the US, especially, parents make the mistake to put too much pressure too early. Too much pressure means too much pressure to win, too much pressure to spend more money, sometimes to switch club too oftenly, and this lead, like, because we know that actually some players develop earlier, and other ones they will need more time to show their skills on the pitch. So we are human beings, so you know, and each player should be treated from his individual perspective as a unique player. So actually, this is very important, and not to put so much pressure at the beginning, because this can stop the creativity. And also, I believe that you know, another key element that we have in Europe and in Latin America is the street soccer culture. So not playing too much also out of the training, like with friends, and developing creativity and you know, some skills with the ball could be an obstacle in the long term. So another mistakes would be like, development is not too linear. So I believe that we could consider this. We should consider this. And what matters besides talent today? Actually, soccer is becoming more and more complex, more and more physical, more and more international. So we see a lot of, in our pro agency, we have a lot of opportunities coming from countries that 20 years ago they were not into soccer, for instance, from Southeast Asia to Egypt to Middle East, for instance, Africa as well. In Africa, there are a lot of talents right now that are reaching Europe, so I think that there is a mix of factors, and you know, the understanding of different playing styles. So that's why I think that international exposure is very important, because in an international experience you can get way better in the pitch, but also like understanding a different communication style, a different culture, which could lead you to have a great success also in the locker room in a different country, for instance. So resuming, I think that the future for American soccer will be a mix between the American structure inside sports and the international soccer culture. So a mix of those two factors will lead American soccer to success. And one thing that's very important is that after the World Cup, we will have a lot of slots over here, and we don't want that all the slots will be taken by Europeans or Latin Americans player, for instance, because here we have such a great opportunity to create great players starting from an early age, for instance. And as we said before, the main thing inside the pitch, in my opinion, is to create players, to develop players in a more creative way, to especially for forward and wings, to have players more versatile at the same time and more international. So today was a chat about youth American soccer to have a greater overview about it. Another thing that I really believe that is important here is to find out all the micro checkpoints that can lead you to the final goal. So if we are in a pro development path, so if we want to get to a pro club, for instance, we should keep attention to certain things. If we want to get to MLS, different things. If we want to get to Brasileirão, for instance, and if we want to go to a college or get a scholarship and have success on that path, we should take into consideration about other factors. So actually, a clear final goal impact on all the path we structure and we draw down together with the families here at Texas Soccer Legend. Very important. We will have a lot of opportunities over here in the US, a lot of clubs, new franchises in MLS, new clubs in USL, and colleges also. They will, I believe that there will be a couple of colleges that want to turn themselves into reference for soccer. So they want to improve their performances, and the results, get better on the ranking and be recognized for it. So I think the whole system will grow a lot. And the thing I see that will slow down a little bit is the recreational side, because it's the only one based on pay-to-play, based on the old school American soccer system. And I think that if we have a clear goal and we develop player with the structured development pathway, we will have more and more players having clarity and families not being lost in the market. So actually, I believe that we are in a positive environment, and the mix between the American structure and the amazing entertainment, together with the international soccer culture and way of play, will be the two key factors of success here in the US in the long term. Thank you very much for tonight. We will see each other next week. And feel free to send me more questions. Like I got today, 3 great questions actually. And I mean, next week we will speak a little bit more about like international opportunities and how the game is played overseas and how players are developed overseas. So we'll focus more on why the competition is so important at such an early age, and why the recreational aspect is not that important, for instance. We know that from a financial point of view, the mix between sports and entertainment is the only key for sustainability, actually. The sportainment, a lot of people, they speak about sportainment as the key for the future. but also we know that if we have a great industry with amazing stadiums, a fan base which is growing and growing and growing. Actually, I think that last month, soccer fan base in the US passed baseball, which is a traditional sport and a national pastime, actually. So a greater fan base, a sport that which is very democratic. We don't need a certain body type like in basketball, for instance. You need to be tall. In soccer, you can have a tall goalkeeper, a short number 10, you know, which is more creative, for instance, and more skillful technically. So actually, a mix of all of it can lead the US to be one of the first market in men's soccer in the world and in women's soccer as well. Thank you very much. See you next Thursday at 7 p.m. here on TXL